Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Ask Me Anything. And in this edition, we'll be talking about tips about structuring of days, even how to stay calm, and lessons that I would give myself if I were to go back in time to advise new mom Sarah. And the last part is about dream guests that I may have. So let's get started. So question 1, what are the top tips for structuring your day whilst balancing work and family? A lot of my guests, including Chris Edwards, Karen Tay, Anu Shanoy, and others, talked about scheduling time for themselves in their day. And I think this has been really game changing because it's all about energy management at the end of the day when you have tons of tasks and opportunities to pursue. So at the start of my day at about 7 o'clock, I have the kids outside having their own breakfast without helper, and I spend 20 minutes to do my own stretching and praying and meditation. Just a quick get me up at the start of the day, and it's just for me. And then I go have a quick shower and my day starts. The other thing that really has helped is also using my phone alarm to set times for which I need to basically switch my mind space. So alarm for work starts at about 9 o'clock. It's basically, work mode. And at the end of the day, at about 5, I have an alarm to wind down. And it's a primer to tell me, hey, I have to shift into a kind of different mind space or persona, if you will, to remind myself that this is who I am for this moment and I've chosen to do that. And so let's just give ourselves to this specific time. And within the day, I think some other things that have really helped with productivity is looking at swallowing the frog first, which in other terms is doing the difficult tasks first when your mind is fresh. So I schedule time to do that, maybe a block of 2 hours. And within that, I also use the Pomodoro. And this has also been promoted by other guests. And I personally recommend it because it helps with just giving a bit of urgency and knowing that I have to move on quickly. So yeah, some top tips for structuring the day. Question 2, how do you handle your emotions during a frustrating call? So I think as working parents, I think we have to deal with frustration very often. And I think the biggest thing that has helped me is to do box breathing. It's a breathing technique that apparently it's used by military personnel, athletes, and I realized that it helps with regulating the breath and to just be there. So if you're in a call, I would suggest to focus on doing the box breathing just so that your nervous system basically calms down. And if you can, try not to make any emotional decisions during the call. I think the best way is to be asking questions and asking open-ended ones so folks can give their feedback. And there's always the option of using the parking lot concept where time is limited. And so you just say that, okay, this is really something that might need to go into the parking lot because you have to push for other pieces on the agenda that are more urgent and more important. So box breathing, parking lot, and try not to make rash decisions and ask open-ended questions. I hope that helps. And question 3, what are 3 lessons that I would go back in time and tell my new mom self? Lesson 1. Motherhood is natural, but also very, very hard. So newsflash and spoiler alert, sorry new moms, but this is the number 1 lesson that you need to take away, that even though having a kid is natural, breastfeeding is part of the process, ideally, bonding is something that you really hope to have. It might not be something that comes super easily or naturally, even though it's part of the natural process. It's so crazy because this was something that I had assumed would be okay and would be something that comes naturally, but it took so long. I cried 3 times at 3 different lactation consultants, offices. Husband was at a loss. And I would just go back in time to tell myself that I needed the time and space to learn all these things. They just don't come immediately. And it's okay. It's perfectly okay. This leads me to lesson number 2. Know that you are changing too, mama. So the biggest thing that I thought would change is that my routines, my logistics, my weekends, these practical stuff, I expected these to change. And of course they did. But what I didn't realize is that I, Sarah, was changing inside. And this is what matrescence is about, right? The transitions of motherhood. Go listen to the episode with Sarah Pentry. But basically, it's that there's so many things that change within you. And for me, especially, it was work and how I looked at work and my value and what I defined as success. So these were really challenged, all these assumptions that I had grown up with. And it took me a while to really reconcile that I would no longer be able to bounce back because I had fundamentally, personally, hormonally, physically, mentally changed in so many ways after becoming a mom. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. constantly check your support. So this is the number one thing that has been consistent across all my guests, and it's that they were constantly adjusting their levels of support. And this is normal because your kid grows into different phases, your work life changes, situations around the house change, and so you need to constantly check if your village is serving you and supporting you. So there are three kinds of support. There's practical support, there's professional support, and there's expert support. So for practical support, ask yourself if you're getting the kind of household help that you need. Are you needing more support for babysitting, things like that? Constantly just check. And this could be your sign. Take it as your sign that you might need to maybe ask for more help to help you really thrive. The second kind of support is professional support. So this would be things like if you need a counselor or maybe a coach to answer questions that you might not be able to, or your friends might not be able to, or someone that you need as a neutral party to listen to your struggles and to hear how you are thinking about, your next season and navigate that, right? So the third one would be the expert support. So expert support could be medical support that you might need, or maybe even legal support, which was my case at work. So that's something that you constantly need to do, which is to review your situation and to see if there are ways to tweak the support that you need, because it really truly takes a village. All right, so yeah, these are the 3 lessons that I've learned that I would go back in time to tell my younger self. Hope it's been helpful. And finally, question 4. Do I have a dream guest? Well, I definitely do have a few. So I have one from the US. Her name is Neha Ruch. She is the founder of Mother Untitled, and I find her writings and her approach about ambitious women leaning into stay-home motherhood really refreshing, and she's really helped with articulating as well as challenging some of my own personal mental models and assumptions. So would love to have her one day, if possible. I also enjoy Rachel from Love Bonito in Singapore. She has a podcast called Who We Are, and it's a great podcast. It talks to different folks from different strokes, and she's also a mom and talks about that a lot. So would love to have her on. I also really would love to have Annette Lee, who is a Singaporean influencer comedian, and she's basically very funny and seems really relatable. So it'd be fun to have her because she also talks and posts about her kid on her IG. So Neha Root, Richard, and Annette Lee. Yeah, if any of you are listening, ping me. And that was Ask Me Anything Part 2. I hope it was helpful. Let me know what you think. Give me any feedback. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you in Season 3.